Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea Foley and we're here today with Agriculture in the Classroom Newfoundland and Labrador. Agriculture in the Classroom is hosted by the NL Federation of Agriculture, and these episodes are to show you a bit more about what Agriculture in the Classroom does and what is happening in the agriculture industry across this province. So today first we'll be visiting an egg processing facility on Roach's Lawn. So at the egg processing facility you will see that eggs are processed, washed and packaged and sent to stores. And you'll also notice that at no point at all does anyone touch the eggs with their hands. So we're actually the first people to touch our eggs when we buy them.
On the island of Newfoundland, there's 6 egg producers, and all of the egg producers on the island come to this facility here to be graded. And that is a substantial amount of eggs. Here, on an average, each month we produce 5 million eggs a month for the market of Newfoundland. Well, I got involved in the egg production business about 4 years ago. My background is in hands-on management. What I would say to anybody that's interested in becoming a farmer, you got to be well-rounded, not afraid of getting your hands dirty, and get yourself a decent education. Smallwood group of companies produces the most eggs on the island. The staff here at this production facility, we have about 25 people involved. We have people, the laborers that work on the line, and we have people that work out in shipping and receiving. We have people that operate forklifts. We have truck drivers on the road to deliver eggs to all the markets in Newfoundland. And also we have people that are skilled with mechanical and electrical that look after our equipment. Our birds produce eggs from about 18 weeks up to about 75 weeks. But if you were a farmer or if you were a person at home who wanted a few chickens, you could have chickens laying eggs for 2 and 3 years. But the quality of your eggs degrades over time. There's a lot of programs in place, federal and provincial, which regulate how we're supposed to house our birds. And we have to follow those guidelines to ensure that the birds are healthy and in an environment that is acceptable to the regulations set forth by the governing bodies. Here on our farm here, we have 3 producers which we collect daily. And in the other producers which are collected at least twice a week. And they are brought here to our farm. We have a quality control system in place which checks those eggs. And when I say check those eggs, they visually take the eggs, a sample size from each pallet, and they'll take it into our quality control office, and they will candle them and physically look at them through light, candling light, and they will check the eggs for any defects, cracks, dirt, and they will also look at the weight of the eggs, make sure that everything is okay in that regard. Here we are in the ungraded cooler. This is where we receive all of the eggs from the island, whether it be the producers here on the farm or producers coming in like you've seen Curtis Somerton delivering these eggs earlier. From this here cooler, we pick which eggs go to processing or the eggs which go to industrial product, which is nest run. So from this here room, we decide where the eggs go. What you're seeing behind me here is the eggs that are coming off the pallet with an easy lift system, which helps the person here, the employee here, take the eggs and put them onto this here belt. This belt then feeds the grading machine. We have a set of sensors here which counts the boxes of eggs and which stops them at 2 box intervals. Okay, counts them, so only 2 will go in at a time and then it'll stop. 2 more will go in at a time and then it'll stop. What you're seeing here is the eggs on the suction side, picking them up from the trays and lodging them ever so gently onto the rollers here. And these rollers are 6 wide. This egg inspector here, which has 5 cameras inside of it, now is checking for leakers. So with the game that I told you about earlier, with the battleship game, she's going to tell this here unit here which is our orientator, multi-drum. It's going to tell that, well, if it's a good egg, let it go through. If it's a bad egg, drop it out here in the bottom. This is our inedible eggs. And as you can see here, the orientator takes all of the eggs and points the tips that way towards the wall, to the right. So here you have the eggs going into our washing system. And this washing system has 3 jets flowing down, shooting water down onto the eggs. And inside there's a system of brushes which agitate, go back and forth, and which gently wash the eggs. And the temperature at which the wash water we're using is set and regulated at 40 degrees centigrade. So as you can see here, the eggs are coming out of the dryer. Some of them are dirty, some of them have cracks, some of them have dirt on them. That's where this egg inspector comes in. This here crack detector is set up that for each row, there's 16 probes, electromagnetic probes, with a microphone built in that gently taps the eggs. Now, the egg inspector, if he sees a broken egg, will tell the crack detector not to touch that egg because it'll get the probes dirty. So he'll say, hey, that egg is broken, don't touch that egg, it's broken, we're going to get rid of it down the line further. So that's how that works. So as it taps the egg itself, the crack detector is then looking for a sound like a ping or a pong. Ping being a good egg, pong being a bad egg. And we can detect cracks from microfractures, which are invisible to the naked eye, right up into large cracks, which you obviously can see, which we call a leaker. From the crack detector, our eggs then pass underneath a UV light, which basically kills any bacteria that's left over through the washing and drying process. And as the eggs come in, this is where now the information from the egg inspector, the crack detector, gets transferred here to the weighing system. The weighing system, like the multi-drum, has a set of carriers which pick up the eggs, and they'll drop out any rejects here. Any eggs that are cracked, that are broken, will get dropped here. The weighing system here will then grade your eggs. We'll say whether you got small eggs, peewees, large, extra large, and jumbos and super jumbos. So this is what this here system does. This is the heart of the egg grading piece of equipment because this is what gives you your sizes. This here is the crack PC, which we use to monitor and check to see how our crack detector is performing. Here you see the transfer of the eggs coming out of the weighing scale onto the 2-track system, which goes over into the packing leg. And in the background you can see the flashes of light. That's the xenolights from the blood detector shooting light through the eggs to see if we can pick up any blood and to detect blood in the system so that it doesn't get into the carton. As you can see here, we have 10 packing lanes, and if you notice up in the windows, there's symbols here which indicate the size of eggs, what goes in each carton. The plant manager here now is at the computer. He can enter all the products that we are running for that day, and he's checking here now. He's looking at the egg inspector. This is inside the egg inspector, which you can see on the pulpit. Up here you have a date stamper, which puts on the best before date, the day that the eggs were actually produced on, and also on there is the barn number, so we know which barn the eggs have come from. This here is your best before date, 2013, January 19th. Here you have the day that the eggs were produced on, which is on the Julian calendar, day 341. And over here, this is the barn number, 312. So we know on this day, we graded these eggs from this barn. Millie's our quality control. She's just taking eggs now, random samples, off the end of the packing lane. You take them back to the quality control room to visual check them, to handle them, to make sure that the standards which we set the machine up to are being followed. So you're seeing from the collecting area to the finished product room. This process don't take us very long. We can grade 60,000 eggs an hour. We usually do around 420,000 eggs a day. And this is the last place they arrive here at Newfoundland Eggs. And then out the door they go to the market and then to your table. And as you can see through this process, nobody touches the eggs. From the time they come from the nest to the time they're sent out to you. The first person who touches your egg is you.
So that was the egg processing facility, and they can process up to 500,000 eggs there a day. So that's a lot of eggs. So eggs is one of the things that we are self-sufficient in Newfoundland and Labrador. So we don't need to bring any into the province, which is an awesome fact. So next we're going to be visiting, or buzzing, to a honeybee farm with Paul Dinn and Aubrey Golding.
Hi everyone, we're here at Adelaide's Honeybee Farm. We're going to meet with Farmer Paul and learn all about the honeybees living here. Let's go take a look. Hi Farmer Paul, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Hannah. Welcome to Adelaide's Honeybee Farm.
So this is a farm.
This is a farm.
I always think of farms as having cows or vegetables, so why would someone own a honeybee farm?
Well, our bees produce honey and we bottle that honey, but we also have our bees for pollination service, so we can bring our honeybees to a farm and they can help pollinate strawberries or blueberries and help the farmer.
Oh wow, that's really interesting.
Come on, let's get ready.
Okay. So Farmer Paul, what is pollination and why is it so important?
Okay, pollination basically is there's wind pollination where the wind blows the pollen off of the trees to the different other trees. But with fruits and vegetables and like berries, what happens is a honeybee will actually land on the flower, and as it lands on the flower, pollen will actually stick to the honeybee, and they're gathering the pollen. And then when they go to the next flower, what happens is that's transmitting that pollen to another flower, which makes the flower seeds turn viable, and it becomes a fruit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've seen one of these on the farm near where I live, so they must help farmers with their fruits and vegetables, do they?
They do. A beekeeper can actually transport a hive like this and place it into a field, say of strawberries that are just about to bloom. The flowers are just about to bloom, and that's what helps all our fruits and vegetables.
So bees are really important for us.
They are very important, and without them, we wouldn't be able to have 1/3 of our world food supply.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So what is this and what is it used for?
This is a smoker, and it's a very important tool for a beekeeper. What we basically do is we give a little bit of smoke in front of the beehive and into the beehive with the bees. And what the bees do, if you could think about them in the wild, a honeybee could be up in a tree, a honeybee hive, and all of a sudden they think there's smoke, meaning there's a forest fire. And if they think there's a forest fire, they'll consume honey, and they're thinking they might have to leave and abandon the hive. So they'll consume lots of honey, and when they consume the honey, it makes them kind of logy and like us after Jake's dinner on Sunday, and they want to just kind of lie around. And the other thing that smoke does is it covers the pheromone and the way for the bees to communicate. So if there was a bee that was concerned about us being in the hive, they usually can't tell the other bees.
Right. So it's a way to calm them.
It is a way to calm them. So this brown that looks like a cookie color, that's all baby bees that are capped and about to emerge and come out.
Oh.
So we're looking now for the queen.
How do honeybees make the honey?
Well, basically a honeybee will go out to the flower and take the nectar out of it, and they have almost like a straw in their tongue, and they'll take it and put it in their honey stomach. And what they'll do is they'll travel along and they'll feed that to another bee. And as they're exchanging that honey, they'll do that about 3 times. the honey is mixed with enzymes, and then when they put it into an actual cell, they'll fan their wings to dry the honey to less than 17% moisture content. And then what they do is they take wax and they cap it, and they cover it over, and that seals the honey and keeps it. It literally can last forever.
So how would one bee tell another bee where all the flowers are?
It's interesting because when a forager goes out and they're looking for flowers, they might find a patch of, let's say, it could be clover or strawberries, even 5 kilometers away. So they'll come back in the hive and they'll do almost like a figure 8. They're walking and at the same time they're shaking, and they're telling the other bees, they're giving them the directions of where those flowers are exactly, and the bees will follow the sun as to the movements of that waggle dance and find right where those flowers are.
Right, the same flowers.
The same flowers. So just watch this, Hannah.
Oh.
So this is raw fireweed honey.
Oh wow. It's okay to have the honeycomb too?
Yep, it's all edible. You can take that, yep.
Yeah.
And just
eat the whole thing?
You can, and you can spit out the wax after. It's like gum once you chew the goodness out of it.
Oh, that's really good.
No, you don't have to pretend.
No, it's really good. It's actually really good.
Oh, we know it's good.
So thank you, Farmer Paul, for bringing us onto the farm and helping us learn all about the honeybees.
Thank you, Hannah, for coming. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. We just got back from Farmer Paul's farm, and we're now here at Paradise Farms to meet with Farmer Aubrey. We're going to see what happens after a successful harvest. Hi, Farmer Aubrey. It's nice to meet you.
And you too?
So what happens next?
Well, let's go around and have a look. This is where I actually shake the wax off the frame, off the honey, and then I take the frame that's filled with honey and place it down in this drum. And this drum takes 12 frames, and then we get this drum going, and centrifugal force will force all the honey out of the frames on the sides of this container here, and it'll all come down and into this bucket down here. The whole process from there to there will take about, from getting this filled, maybe about 35 minutes from there down to here. And this is an 8 mesh screen, and that screen will catch most of the wax. I put just most of the wax back here again, and we use that in our products for our body care operation.
So Farmer Aubrey, we know that bees make honey, but what else do they make from the beeswax and everything?
Well, our bees, they do a wonderful job of making beeswax that we turn into candles, Christmas candles, and we have a variety of those. They also make beeswax for our lip balms, which is a big item. We have about 6 or 7 different kinds of lip balms. Things like foot balms. People with tired feet on the feet all day long, they like the foot balm. Beeswax. Beeswax, people use beeswax for numerous reasons. Musicians use beeswax on their violin strings. Divers use this beeswax on their zippers. And seamstress people working with needles use it to cut needles. So there's dozens and dozens of ways and things you can do with beeswax.
So Farmer Aubrey, is there anything else that we should know about bees and everything? Yeah,
I think it's important to note that without bees in the world, we wouldn't have much food. Our food supply would be about 1/3 of what we have now. And so make sure that your family know, your friends know, not to be using a lot of chemicals, harsh chemicals on your lawns, on your flower beds, in your vegetable gardens, because this stuff will kill and harm our honeybee population. So help us keep honeybees in good health, and they in turn will provide healthy things for us.
Well, thank you so much. That's so interesting.
Great.
It was really nice to meet you.
And you too, Hannah.
I hope you all enjoyed visiting the honeybee farms with me today. I know I learned a lot, and I hope you all did too.
So that was the honeybee farm. And did you know that there can be up to 60,000 bees in one hive? So that's a lot of brothers and sisters to annoy each other. Next, we're going to be watching a video about plant adaptations. So this is an animated video from our friends at National Little Green Thumbs. This video shows how plants have developed adaptations to best survive in different ecosystems.
Plant adaptations. Plants cover most of the land on our planet. They grow on mountains, in deserts, in forests, and even underwater. Have you ever wondered how plants can grow in such different habitats? We know that all plants have needs to survive, like light, air, water, nutrients, and space. We use the word lawns to remember these plant needs. Different plants have special features that help them meet their needs in different habitats. Some plants have long roots that help them find water way down in the soil. Other plants have big leaves that help them gather sunlight in shady areas. We call these special features adaptations. Think about it like this. If we were heading out to swim underwater, what would we bring to help us breathe? Scuba gear. How would we see? A diving mask. Or if we're going to climb a mountain, what would we bring? We'd bring hiking boots to protect our feet and help us climb, a hat to protect us from the sun, and we'd bring water because we'd probably get thirsty. Humans can bring different clothes and supplies to help us to adapt to different habitats. Plants have adaptations that also help them survive in special environments. But they take a really long time to develop. Plants can't just grab a sun hat or water to help them live in the mountains. Plants have a special feature that helps them survive. Let's go to the desert to investigate. In the desert, it's hot and dry, and there's a lot of direct sunlight shining on plants. Look at this cactus. It's called prickly pear cactus. It has no leaves, and it has a waxy coating on its stem. Why? To help keep water inside the plant because the sun is so hot. If the cactus had leaves, water might evaporate too quickly and they would dry up. Other desert plants, like this sage plant, have very long roots that go deep into the ground to help it find water way below the surface. These plants grow well in very dry places with lots of sun, but they might not survive in a different habitat, like a rainforest, where there's lots of rain, fog, and shade. They might get too little sun or too much water to survive. The plants that survive in a rainforest have adaptations to help them live here too. Rainforests get lots of rain and the trees grow very tall, which means they block a lot of sunlight for the plants on the ground. Many rainforest plants, like these ferns, have special features at the end of their leaves called drip tips. This allows water to drip off the leaves down into the soil where it's needed most. Ferns have big leaves that help it absorb enough sunlight to survive. Because the forest floor gets very little sunlight, these fern plants have big, spiky-shaped leaves, which grow upright and cover a large area. Some plants, like moss, live on the branches and trunks of trees up off the forest floor so that they can get more sunlight. We call plants that grow in a habitat for a very long time native plants. These plants have special features that develop over a long period of time that help them live in that habitat. As people have moved all over the world, they have brought plants that they grew in their home countries. Many of the plants we see around us are not native plants. We call these introduced plants. Plants like the flowers and vegetables in our gardens and the crops that farmers grow originally came from somewhere else. Most of them were brought here by people, but sometimes they were brought by animals. Some plants grew well. Other plants didn't grow well because they didn't have the adaptations needed to survive in their new habitat. Some plants grew so well in their new habitat that they competed with the existing native plants. These plants took over the native plants and affected the animals that depend on them. We call these plants invasive plants. Some plants were brought to new countries to grow for food, but not all of them grew well in the new habitat. On the prairies, farmers found that the wheat they brought from Europe took too long to grow. Wheat crops froze and people were going hungry. Some wheat plants naturally started to adapt to the shorter growing season. Remember, these are called adaptations. Farmers and scientists studied those plants, and over time they developed a new variety of wheat that they could grow well on the Canadian prairies through a process called plant breeding. Plant adaptations are important for plants to thrive in new habitats, or if their existing habitat changes due to weather changes or changes in rainfall. Plant adaptations happen naturally over a long period of time. With the help of farmers and plant scientists, plants can adapt more quickly. Farmers then can plant crops that meet their needs and survive better. Look at the plants around you. What special features do they have that help them survive in the habitat around you? Those are plant adaptations.
Thank you for joining us today with Agriculture in the Classroom, Newfoundland and Labrador. We got to see some excellent videos today. And I might have to tell a joke, I think. So what does a honeybee use to comb her hair? A honeycomb. If you want to see some more great jokes, you can look us up on Agriculture in the Classroom at aitcnl.ca. So Agriculture in the Classroom Newfoundland and Labrador is a registered charity here in Newfoundland and Labrador, and we are always looking for volunteers to help us with spreading agriculture education. So you can look us up at aitcnl.ca to learn more. Be sure to join us next time for Agriculture in the Classroom Newfoundland and Labrador.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers